Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the weekend wrap up here on Shelbyville. Now, I'm David Thomas, and across from me is Mr. Josh Blevins. Mr. Blevins, it's been a good week.
It has been a good week.
Horse show started.
Horse show started. Flies are in town.
Yes, but
people are in town.
Possibly the last big hot week.
It seems like it's going to cool down next week, which is unusual during the horse show. Usually it either gets
Yes.
rained on or it gets so hot you don't want to be sitting out there.
We sell jackets here at the Winter Circle, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody's bought the jackets. They're leaving.
Yeah.
They're expecting,
We're talking cooler nights.
50s.
Yeah.
50s at night.
Yeah.
And what's on the table?
These would be some official horse show donuts. I went and got my first donuts this morning, so got a fine half dozen. There may be 5.
Man, there's
left
one
in there.
missing.
There's one missing. I might have eaten it.
What are you
So
doing?
I ate the donuts, so it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I stopped by and saw my friends at Southern Cup this morning on the way here. Got me a little bit of coffee.
Southern Cup, the original drive-through coffee shop in Bedford County.
The original drive-through coffee shop. We're giving them an extra plug. We're not going to go too deep in this, but I did want to point out we heard some disturbing information about the fact that the new coffee shops in town have really started to have an impact on them, and we just want to say we support local.
Absolutely.
And if you get a chance and you live here in Shelbyville or you're driving through Shelbyville, stop by Southern Cup this week and buy some coffee.
Hey, the best place in town.
Best place in town to get you a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
So,
Before we dive into things today, Josh, I know we've got another piece of breaking news, and it sounded like a broken record almost, but we've got to cover it.
It
because
changes all the time.
I know it's a constant movement of this Uncle Nearest wheel turning. So we'll be back to talk about that, but we need to hear from our sponsor, Dennis Young Insurance and Leverage Power Washing. We'll be right back.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
All righty, welcome back in here to the weekend wrap-up show. We appreciate everybody joining us this morning live. I know there's a lot going on, a lot of people traveling.
Yep.
We've got a friend that's on the road. Should be there by now.
Should be going to Florida for horse show week.
And a lot
That's
of
your
people,
traditional vacation week
right.
for people locally.
Exactly. So we appreciate everybody joining us this morning. Josh, let's start off. What you got?
Yeah, let's go back into Uncle Nearest. We said last week we're not going to turn this into the Uncle Nearest show, but it's still important news locally, and we just wanted to give a brief update of what happened in the past week. A couple comments we got this week, which we've gotten the same ones, like, why are you airing their business? This is nobody's business, that kind of thing. This impacts a lot of people here locally. Besides their vendors, which, we've had vendors that have not been getting paid, you got a lot of people that work here, and this is their livelihood. And I've got people that I know that work there, and they're on edge. They're worried. They don't know what's going on. This is how they feed their family. So This is important, particularly to people here in town. Apart from the national news part of it and the stuff that's been in the New York Times and Forbes and all that, just locally here, it's a big thing. So that's why we've been staying on top of it. It's right here in our town. It's right here next to us. A couple things happened this week. We talked last week that Uncle Nearest had asked to go to mediation with the bank. They'd asked to compel the bank to go to mediation. The judge came back and denied that early on in the week. He'd already received that request verbally at the court appearance that I went to back a couple weeks ago, and had denied it verbally. So they did it in writing, and he still, the same reasoning. They've been back and forth for a year and a half. It didn't look like mediation or arbitration was going to get anywhere. They needed to move to some more serious steps, which they did. Both parties sent possible options who they preferred to move in as a receiver and take over the day-to-day operations. The bank submitted 2, Uncle Nearest submitted 1. I was a little bit surprised yesterday that the judge went with the suggestion by Uncle Nearest, which was Philip Young out of Columbia. But if you look at his resume, he's got a deep, thick resume of Chapter 11s in major corporations, some even bigger than this deal. You know,
Right.
like Service Merchandise, that was a big
Oh, it's
deal.
a big,
Everybody
huge,
remembers
yeah,
Service
yeah.
Merchandise that's lived in Middle Tennessee a long time. So he handled that one. Murray, Regal Cinemas. So he's handled some big bankruptcies. He is now legally the receiver of Uncle Nearest and any related companies that were listed in the filing. Again, a little side local note, if you looked at that list of companies that was in the paperwork, a couple of them that we know of, like Shelbyville Grand,
Right.
Nashwood, those were not in there. So
Right.
some of those properties that are on our town square at least weren't listed in there. So we don't know if they're going to get tied up in this or not yet. Everything that was mentioned was either the properties on 231, the stuff in Martha's Vineyard, or the stuff in France.
Yeah,
So,
and wasn't there a piece of farm in
Edie
Moore
Road.
County?
Oh yeah, you've also got the
Right.
the Call property,
Right.
the Dan Call property in Moore County. So so we'll see where it goes from here. As of Friday afternoon, he was the receiver. We've not heard yet if he's even come to the property. As receiver, he gets all the keys get turned over to
Right.
him. He's got the keys to the locks. He gets the mail that comes into the PO box. He gets, access to the bank accounts. I mean, he is running the show.
So
at that point.
Daddy's
So
home.
He's home. So
right.
whether he'll show up,
Yeah.
today on a Saturday or whether he'll roll in on a Monday,
You know
morning,
what?
I don't
With
know.
the task he's got, he probably got in there as soon as he could.
He probably did. And this obviously is not a one-man operation.
No.
I mean, he's going to have to bring a team of people, which I'm sure he's already got in place or will
Right.
be getting in place to do this.
Josh, I was thinking about this whole thing, and honestly, it probably makes sense because it has local ties. It's local. And let's think about where the distilling company is.
Yeah, also in Columbia.
Right there.
So,
I think this guy was the common sense approach the judge used.
yeah, if you had used, say, the company out of Texas, they're going to have to fly their people in here.
Logistical
They're going to have
problems,
to do, some kind of long-term rentals or something. I mean, they don't live here. They live in Texas. So they're going to have to.
Makes more sense.
A lot of travel expenses, a lot of, being put up in hotels and stuff. So I want to go off on a couple just things I didn't put down here, just some side notes that obviously I've been reading and digging a lot on this. We posted some information about the Forbes has been,
Right.
who everybody's been quoting on this. And as I've dug into Forbes, everybody thinks of Forbes. Forbes is the big
They
fancy
remember Steve,
financial magazine.
Steve Forbes. He's gone. That's been bought out.
He's gone
a long time ago.
Forbes, if you look at Forbes now, they're a kind of a two-sided operation. They've got still the
financial,
high-priced
yeah.
writers. They've got the fancy magazine, but they've also got this online clickbait kind of
Yes.
reporting that they do now that is just it's submitted articles by
It's-
freelancers
Josh.
that get paid by the ad sale, not
For entertainment purposes only. Is the way I
a
look at
lot
it.
of top 5 lists, top 10
Yeah.
lists, a lot of this. So they've actually gone back and retracted. I say retract. They've started rewording some of their previous
Right.
stuff that they put out, like the valuation that everybody quoted Forbes when they said this was $1 billion company. Forbes has now come out this week and said, "Oh, by the way, that was a self-reported valuation. We didn't do a valuation on this company." And then there was something we got tagged on this week. I just wanted to do this as a case in point of some of this clickbait stuff. There was a Forbes article this week that somebody tagged me on, and I looked into it just to kind of give you an idea of how these type of articles get written. This was the world's best Tennessee whiskey, according to the Beverage Testing Institute, was the
Who is
headline.
the Beverage Testing
The
Institute?
Beverage Testing Institute. So I did a little digging into the
Man,
Beverage
you could form
Testing
one of these.
Institute. What they do is at the Beverage Testing Institute is if you run any kind of a beer, wine, or spirits distributorship, you can ship them a bottle of your product along with a check, and they will review it for you. So, and then they publish those reviews only if you get a score above a certain set level. So they do on a scale of 1 to 100. And if you were like an 85 or above, they'll go ahead and publish a review. then a company like Forbes picks up that review and
Of
says,
course.
oh, these are the top 5 best whiskeys. But if you actually look at the Beverage Testing Institute, they have tested on their own, according to their own website, a grand total of 16 bottles of whiskey. And 12 of those 16
Uncle
bottles
Nearest.
were Uncle Nearest
Okay.
bottles.
All
So,
right.
so that's what happened. They didn't test. This isn't Consumer Reports
No,
that goes
no.
out and
Okay. All right.
buys every type of whatever.
Okay.
They just accept what's sent to them.
They're
They
promoting a
review it.
brand is what they're doing. All
Yeah.
right. So Josh, can I stop and do
Yeah.
something? Let's back up.
Yeah.
We have just officially formed the Bedford. No, let's see. We'll put a fancy name to it later, but it's
Yeah.
the Coffee Tasting Institute.
Oh, so
And
people
we
can
have
send us
selected.
coffee?
No,
Oh,
we have
selected.
selected
Okay.
Southern Cup as the best coffee in Bedford County.
I'm okay with that. And I've
And
actually tested more
you
than one
have tested
coffee,
it,
so,
And we're
yes.
making that declaration,
Yes.
and maybe a magazine will pick us up.
Maybe
but-
Forbes will run an article. next
Maybe they
week.
will, but dadgummit,
Yes.
Southern Cup is the best,
Best
tasting
coffee
by
in,
the Bedford County Coffee Tasting Institute.
Yeah,
We're just-
absolutely.
okay,
So,
all right.
so that's how that works.
That's how it
So,
works.
Yeah, that was just a little side note. That's how that kind of, yeah, you see Forbes on stuff, and you see some of these big national brands now. They're not in the day of the internet and things that are online. Some of that stuff is not what it used to be.
No.
So,
No.
other than that, though, there really was no new updates on Uncle Nearest. We've posted as things happen on
Right.
our Facebook. Just stay on top of our Facebook page. We don't want to talk about
Yeah.
it for 30 minutes every weekend. So, a lot going on there. It is important. If anything breaks, we will cover it. But mainly, we're hoping now that the receiver is in place, that they can come in there, get things turned around, make sure the employees are getting paid, make sure it's an ongoing operation, make sure the vendors start getting paid, and get it back on the right track, because it's important for our local economy. It's important for the people that work there. You know,
It's been talked about, and there's been rumors floating around. There's past vendors that are probably going to go now back to the company, since there's a receiver in place, and probably try to get payment for some of the past due stuff that's been like lawsuits. Maybe they'll come out of this, with something.
Yeah, I've actually been involved with a couple of big corporations that were in a lawsuit, and actually leading up to the lawsuit, generally you saw that their payment terms started to slip and slip. But man, as soon as they entered the bankruptcy, immediately they paid everything 2 terms on time because the court was
Right.
overseeing it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so actually things should improve from people that are still doing business with them. So with that, let's move into the rest of the week. What happened Tuesday evening? We had the county committee meetings at the historic courthouse downtown. We got an update on county animal control. There had been that push to try to get some changes to
Right.
spay and neuter laws that didn't go anywhere. They had some kind of a meeting within the last couple of weeks, all put their heads together. They're going to keep doing that. Some of the rescue groups, they did get some forms and paperwork about low-cost spay and neuter, because we have the clinic here in town, the low-cost spay and neuter clinic. They put that paperwork in the vehicles of everybody that's in animal control. So as they're out and about and see people that may need that kind of help, they've got paperwork they can hand to them
Okay, that's a step toward accomplishing the goals that
of what
was
they were
set.
trying to do. Yeah, they're also looking at trying to maybe put together a little flyer that just lists all the different resources, because we've got a bunch
Yeah.
of New Dusty Dog Rescue and this and that in town, and not everybody knows who to call if you've got that kind of
Yeah.
an issue. So just having that all gathered in one place would be helpful.
Yeah,
as well.
sometimes just awareness can start bringing solutions.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what's going on here.
Yeah, so that's what's happening there. There was this would be the Rules Committee submitted an unfavorable recommendation on a rezoning that had already become unfavorable from the Planning Commission. This is the piece of property on 64. It's also called Lewis Avenue here in
Right.
the city, just past Neverest Park there on the right. The owner was trying to get that rezoned to a higher density, even though it's in the county. It's right up against the river.
That was the issue.
The issue is the river. And
You got floodplains all around.
yeah. So as with anything in planning, he's allowed to submit the application, and the county commission will have the final say.
Right.
But it's got 2 unfavorables. I'd say it's likely it's going to get voted down next
Right.
month. So there was, however, a favorable recommendation to rename the railroad bridge that passes over the bypass near Railroad Avenue to the Senator Jim Tracy Overpass. There was also mention that they're going to normally a renaming that happens at the county. It normally has a 12-month waiting period. They're going to make a move to suspend the rules and go ahead and push this through quickly. It looks like. I personally asked a couple questions. I was confused of why the county commission is renaming a railroad bridge that's over a state highway. It doesn't seem to be a county issue, but this is the direction they're going with it. So it seems like it might happen. This will be on the agenda next month at the county commission as well.
Yeah.
Public safety committee heard that the TACAN radios that we've had a lot of discussion about over the past few months are just about really just about this time ready, and that they're going to be online within the next 4 weeks.
Really?
Really. Yes.
Okay.
Actually going to happen this time.
I'll be listening.
What we're told. So we'll be listening to hear when it happens. They actually said they have a cutover date. They just didn't want to tell us in case they missed the date. So
They're saying
it's going to happen within 4 weeks. Okay. So something interesting on the sheriff's office report I wanted to touch on. They showed 57 citations on the report this month. That is a big difference from what things were at about a year ago. I've noticed, obviously you have the scanner and we listen to it often. There seems to have been, and this is just anecdotal from just listening to traffic, a pickup in activity from our sheriff's department on traffic enforcement. So in the past, you didn't hear a lot of them going back and forth. If you listen to the city is all over traffic enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
They're reading license plate numbers off every 5 minutes. Somebody's getting pulled over in the city.
Right.
In the county, that hadn't been happening as much, but recently there's been a lot more back and forth traffic reading license plate numbers and driver's license numbers and stuff like that. So just again, anecdotally, this is, nothing official, but the numbers kind of reflect that. They had more citations last month, and it seems like they may be focusing a little more on traffic enforcement out in the county. So another interesting note on the sheriff's report, at one point at the day that they did the report, they had 363 inmates sitting in our jail. It only holds 400, and that includes isolation and stuff like that normally may not have somebody in it. So there are times that we're starting to
so here's my question,
push the limit a
Josh.
little bit there.
Do we have a breakdown of how many of these are state prisoners versus local prisoners?
They did not give us that. They did say, though, the day of the meeting, the number was much lower than that 363. It was just an unusual day that they generated this report. But that, just goes to show at some point, does our jail need a little extra expansion?
Josh, don't even start.
So
don't even start.
Just pointing out. Then one other number of note on the reports, on the monthly reports. Like to always point this out, not to poke at it, but we average less than 3 Bedford County juveniles per night in the juvenile detention center, but we're moving forward with the new building, I believe, which should be starting construction any day now at $6 million or whatever. So
3.
yeah,
Oh.
so yeah, those 2.5 kids will have very nice accommodations.
Yes, they will.
So, yeah. Wednesday there was a meeting of the Senior Citizens Board. I went along with 4 or 5 others from the city just to kind of be there for the first part of the meeting, just to hear the discussion. We didn't stick around for the whole meeting. They're working on developing a strategic plan and then possibly a capital campaign. They're still making a decision of, do they want to stay at their current location? Do they want to move to a new location? It still seemed like from the discussion we heard from the board, nobody's happy with the current location anymore.
Okay, is it the location or is it the building, actually?
I think it's the location more than the physical structure. Yeah, I think it's the location. They're feeling like the location is holding them back. So, really 3 possible things to look at. They could look at, which nobody's found one, but theoretically, if they could find an empty building that could be remodeled reasonably, that would be one option. Nobody's actually found a building of that kind. Second option would be an empty parcel, build from scratch. That's the most expensive one. Seems unlikely, but that would be one if they raised enough money. Third option, which may be the direction they go, but is definitely not confirmed, would be to add on to the rec center, because you wouldn't have property costs then. You would just have the cost of the building. I spoke to someone in a contractor this week about that, gave him our dollar figure that they had to work with so far without the capital campaign. He thought they might be able to get 4,000 to 5,000 square feet added onto the rec center with what they've got to spend if they did it properly.
Input
So,
here from an old guy.
Yeah, yeah. Do you
Don't-
qualify for this?
Yeah, I qualify, Josh. Don't
Yeah.
rub it in.
Yeah.
Don't put it on the square, and don't
Yeah.
put it on North Main Street, please.
I don't think
us
either of
old
those
folks
are-
do not want to go and try to fight
Neither
with
of
parking
those are
and
in
parking and traffic.
Yeah.
It needs to be in a low traffic area.
Yeah.
That's easy to get in and out.
Yeah. I think, I mean, and I don't know, again, that nothing's decided. The rec center is seeming like more and more of a good idea.
Makes sense.
Yeah, part of the reason with that too is some of the first pushback we got when that was mentioned was parking, but people need to understand the senior center is a Monday through Friday. They do like 9, 10, 11 a.m. events. Mornings.
Yeah.
Nobody,
Nobody's
especially in the
there.
school year, the rec center is fairly empty.
It's
That's-
empty. Yeah.
Kids are in school, parents are at work. There's not a lot of people there. So timing wise, it works out almost perfect as far as parking and stuff. So we'll see what direction it goes. Ultimately, that board holds the final decision. This is not, the senior center is not a city
Right.
entity. It's not a county entity. They're a private 501c3 with their own board.
Right.
They have to decide where they want to go. So the city is going to help them as much as we can, but they have to make the decision. So last meeting that we're going to cover is Thursday evening. I went to the school board meeting. They had it at Thomas Magnet School since they just had the new addition there. They did a little ribbon cutting thing first and then had the meeting. Couple interesting points. Actually, one really interesting to me, but I do want to cover one early on. If you go, Times Gazette had a good post on this. The SACP, which I don't exactly know what the acronym stands for, but basically it's the after school
program.
Yeah, for the kids, has been losing money. It has to pay for itself. It can't be funded by state or federal money for some reason. That was discussed during the meeting. So they voted to go ahead and raise the prices is one way they're going to help try to have it. pay
Okay,
for
so it was
itself.
only like $8,000, wasn't it? It wasn't a whole lot.
It was several thousand. The problem is not so much the prices. The problem is people don't pay.
Well,
And
that's an easy solution, Josh.
that's where they've got to get a handle on. There was a couple suggestions brought up, like what they do is they let the kids stay there in after school program for the whole week, and then Friday afternoon they ask the parent to pay. And if the parent can't pay, the kid's already been there all week. So the idea is that they
Okay.
didn't pass were to either make them do a deposit
Okay.
or pay on Monday instead of paying on Friday.
Pay in advance.
So
You pay in advance. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, everybody needs skin in the game here. Otherwise, it turns into like every other giveaway program to where there's a handful paying for the mob.
And that's
And
what's
this has
happened.
got, I mean,
Yeah.
this is pretty simple.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fixed real quick. You can't bring your child if you don't pay. That's a pretty,
That seems like the easy solution. They didn't quite get there though. All they got to was raise
Well, I
prices,
just
and we're
got
going to
there pretty quick,
revisit in
Josh.
January.
I mean, I got a calculator. It's not hard to
like
do.
an easy solution, but
But I
I,
know
mean, they're
you got-
worried about parents
I
that
know.
only get paid on
Exactly.
Friday.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, and
there's all these different.
And then you got,
reasons.
it, I'm quite sure it's not very expensive.
$14 a day, 70 a week, I believe was the rate.
Okay, so it's more than I thought.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's honestly, there's some families that cannot live without it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the worry. If they keep losing money, they would have to shut it down, and that would really be a problem.
You can't
So,
shut this down.
yeah. So they need to figure out a way for it to work.
Yeah.
So the bigger news to me that came out of this meeting, though, was, which we had covered this a couple times last year. We made a little bit of a deal about it, but not a big deal. But this is now the second year in a row the enrollment is down at Bedford County Schools. And it's not just down a little, it's down a decent amount. We're, as of the enrollment report that was given Thursday evening, we were at 8,605 kids, which the year before it was 8,862. So they were down over 250 kids this year.
Okay, is there any particular school that's down at a higher percentage than others? Was that breakdown
They
given?
didn't, at least probably the school board had the paperwork. They didn't give that to us that were in attendance.
Okay.
They attribute it to homeschooling.
Absolutely. You got homeschooling and
Yeah.
private school that's doing this. I don't think people are leaving the county.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. I think we've got people coming in, but the net result is more people homeschooling.
Yeah, they mentioned in particular something called Honor School or some kind
Right.
of online thing. You pay them, It was between $30 and $70 a year. That's it. And they handle the paperwork to withdraw your kid from public
Right.
school, put them in homeschool, and keep you legal,
Right.
per se. They're not actually providing the teaching and the classes and
Right.
whatever, but that's fairly inexpensive.
And that's one of the hindrances in the past for homeschooling, not just the knowledge and the process to do it.
And the paperwork.
And this takes care of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can look at this two ways, Josh. You can say, "Oh, that's terrible. We're going to lose money." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No, it also is taking some pressure off county government when you have parents taking responsibility for educating their kids instead of throwing it in the government's lap. Okay, and I'm not saying that's what we're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
my kids went to public schools. I've known kids that their families decided to homeschool or decided, and you know what? It works good for some families.
Yeah.
It just does.
It does.
Okay, so I don't see this as a problem. Okay, now some people might view this as a problem, Josh.
Right. Not necessarily a problem. The discussion I had with a couple people on the board afterwards was just this changes the discussion of all the meetings they had last year about a 10-year plan. I mean, all
Sure.
the talk track was we're growing, we're growing, we're growing. We need to put a high school down at Liberty. Well, if we're not growing, we're growing, we're growing, we don't need a high school at Liberty right now. If this trend continues over a number of years, instead of that being the top priority, they may shift. And this was, again, this is just discussion sidebar. This is nothing official from anybody. The possibility is if you don't need that new high school next, maybe
Yeah.
East Side and South Side Elementary, both of which are very old and very long in the tooth, maybe you replace those with a single larger elementary school.
Like a Cartwright.
Yeah, like an 800 student elementary school, and wipe those two buildings out. And you've suddenly got a new modern elementary school. You've got room for all your kids. Still nobody's in portables, and you've got better facilities. So that's just something they've now got to look at.
So here's
Because
another
last year
question.
the discussion was, hey, we're getting
Yeah.
100 new kids every year. We're busting at the seams at high school.
If
Yeah.
this trend continues, Josh, it might get to the point where you didn't need that large elementary school like Cartwright, but you build one that's moderately sized and not huge. I mean, you don't know what these trends are going to do, but
Yeah,
but it gives you a little bit more options when you're not overrun. I mean, we've
Right.
been overrun in the past 5 years. We were up around 9,000.
right.
And you're like per capita, we had more students per capita than any other county around us.
Yeah.
And we're having to fund that. Our state money, of course, does the
Sure.
bulk of it, but our county has to throw in their part. So I don't,
Yeah.
whatever the reason is, I think it's like a relief valve going off a little bit. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, we
that's
don't
the way
have
I
to be
take
so
it.
worried about
Right.
Yeah. And just a side note, they mentioned obviously the discussion went to this is voucher year. What's going on with vouchers in Bedford County? They don't have a final number of how many kids may or may not have gotten a voucher, but they did get from the state this week a report that says the state received 144 voucher applications from Bedford County. Not all those people were awarded a voucher, and even the ones that may be qualified may not have chosen to use it. So they don't have a number yet
Right.
of how many people were pulled out and sent to private school, but it's nowhere near the 257 that they're down right now.
No,
so
it's
they're
not- that's
they're
not
leaning
it.
towards homeschool being
Sure.
the answer to that. So just something interesting going on with the school system. We'll see where that goes. And as far as the funding, just another note: if the 250 ends up being the number through the whole year, 250 kids would add up to about $2 million in state funding if all that funding went away the following year.
Right.
Now there's some hold harmless stuff because of the vouchers and stuff that's going to hold their funding up probably.
Sure.
But just to get an idea, because if it does start cutting into funding, that's the other thing you got to look at as a school system. We've been growing, hiring. We always talk about how government always grows and doesn't contract. If you start to, you pull $2 million out, you may have to get rid of some
it's
positions.
kind of like this,
Yeah.
Josh. You're not having to teach as many children.
Yeah, so
Okay,
you may
don't
need fewer
less
teachers.
resources.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we've had a shortage too. So
Yeah,
there's
so
that
maybe that'll
balancing
balance
act.
out.
Yeah.
So just interesting, something to be keeping an eye on. And but with that is all the local stuff I think I wanted to cover. I did go to The Celebration Car Club had their car show down on the square last night. It was busy, even though horse show
Yeah.
week, so that was good. And then I have not been to the horse show yet, but I'm going, I believe, Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
Those are your official
So
visits.
those are my official visits. So, I'll report back next weekend.
Anybody
and,
wanting autographs, you will be out.
nobody's wanting my autograph, but I will
Okay.
be there those 3 nights.
Okay, Pat Ray
yeah.
came in and she made a long comment here
Okay,
about
sure.
the senior citizen situation. The building is not the problem. No matter where they are located, they must have activities that the active seniors want to participate in. Back in the 80s, they had pool tables, ceramic classes, art classes, and were very active. They served lunch for 125 people on Tuesday and about half that the other days of the week. It is not the building or the location that needs to change, but the activities and the programs that are offered. They need to spend the money on programs and activities and not a new building. Senior citizens need more activity and programs, not okay.
Okay,
all right. She repeated that again.
Yeah.
I think she hit her button twice. And
Okay.
I know what she's talking about because I remember all that.
On the activities, and that's a good point. That's one of the big pluses of moving it all to the rec center. The rec center already has developed a pretty good suite of active senior programming. They've got different classes and stuff already going on there. So moving the senior center there is just going to add to the programming that's already there. It probably would be the best of both worlds there. If you were less active, you could do, the bingo and everything.
Oh, yeah, you got a walking track.
You got a walking track. They do. There's a hydrosize, some kind of an exercise thing that they do in the pool there. So this would help with the activities, and I mean, what they're hoping, and I think any new location they're hoping, it just kind of revitalizes the senior center and gets more attention, pointed at it. But yeah,
Thanks for the
she's
comment.
right about activities. And
Thanks for that comment, Ms. Ray.
Yeah. So, and I think that's one plus in favor of going to the rec center.
Yeah.
With this.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right, Joshua, we want to take a quick break before we dive into next week. Or you have anything else? Or
I think that's it from this week. Let's take a break and then we'll talk about next week.
all righty, we'll be right back.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
All righty, welcome back in here to the weekend wrap up. Josh, you got one more item before we move ahead?
I got one more. We're flying by the seat of our pants here. We're live. I didn't take good notes. I wanted to mention something else on the school board meeting that didn't get covered in the newspaper article and might get missed by people that weren't there. They presented a rendering, a 3D video of what community high school would look like if they added sports fields. I guess there's no sports fields at the high
Not
school
at the
there.
high
They
school.
use the middle school. So they got a master plan done for community high school. It looked great. It was baseball, softball, football, soccer, the whole 9 yards. So it's something that eventually the school board would want to look at. I just wanted to point out that I got a little side information while I was there. This is part of the good thing of going to these meetings, and something that didn't get said during the meeting, but I just want to put out there because they're going to need to start looking at this. 18 million is kind of a rough back of the napkin figure of what something like that would cost to add to
Okay.
the high school. And I believe Cascade High School is in the same situation. Are they not? They
have
their
everything at the
own.
junior high
It's all at the middle school.
because
So-
they've made their junior high, their high school, old high school to junior high,
right.
and that's where all the athletic facilities are. They just went over
Yeah.
Didn't plan for any athletic, just built a school.
Yeah.
That's what community, and that's exactly what Cascade did.
So they're both of those schools at some point are going to need athletic facilities built. A lot of this, and they did talk about this. They'll probably want to look for business and corporate sponsors and stuff like that. But this is also a big expense that at some point will be looming. For the
Looking
school
back at the
system.
way things happened at Sheffield Central back in 1977, when that school was built, the old school sitting up here on Elm Street, it turned into the junior high school. Just the same move. The difference was 2 years after, no, 3 years after the move took place, there was a football stadium built.
Okay. So pretty quick.
It happened three years afterwards. And then there was a baseball field, which was very minuscule later. But we used Park Complex for our baseball. And the old football, we went back to the junior high field. Had to take a bus, okay? And it was a pretty good haul from there to here.
Sure.
And the football field house was here. And of course, back then we didn't even have a soccer team.
Right. Yeah.
We had basketball, we had the gym,
Sure.
and that was it.
Yeah. Well, and community, they asked there at the meeting, which of these fields would you like first? Of course, football was the one that they mentioned. Right. The problem with the master plan is football is the last phase of the way everything is configured. So if you put football first, you're going to have to run all your utilities and everything back there. It would be super
But football
expensive,
is the most troubling issue because it involves so many kids with so much equipment.
Right.
The others are streamlined.
Yeah.
You got a larger group.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that last. It's a longer period of inconvenience.
Right.
For convenience sakes, you build your football first.
Yeah.
And it's a logistical issue. You know?
Well, all I can say is I hope they get a good booster club because I think they're going to need to be raising a lot of money.
Yep.
So on to next week, upcoming week, Tuesday, City Council, which I will be there, is having a special meeting. I believe it's at 2:00. This is a big one. This is to discuss the direction that we're going as far as a new fire and police headquarters, hopefully, and just in general what we're doing with the properties and buildings that the city runs and operates.
I'm surprised y'all are having a meeting during the horse show like this.
Yeah, it's like 2 p.m. So on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So yeah, this is it's going to be an important one. I would stay tuned. We'll definitely be talking about it next week because there's the possibility on the agenda that we could even vote on some of this. This is a public meeting. This is a called, and it's got room for motions and moving forward with some stuff. So this is as big probably as the council meeting was a couple weeks ago. It could actually be more bigger. So, more bigger. Right after that, which assuming it ends on time, I'll be able to make it both. County Finance meeting meets at 4:15 on Tuesday. Right after that, same day, Tuesday, 7:00, the County Planning Commission is supposed to meet. This is an item that's been deferred a couple times. As long as it doesn't get deferred again, it's a development. I can't remember where it's at, but the agenda is on the county website. So we'll see if that one actually moves forward. And then Thursday evening is the City Planning Commission, and I will be at that. There's big one on that I want to hear the discussion on is a townhome development that they're looking at putting behind Victory Baptist.
Yeah, that's been in the conversation before.
It's been in the conversation. It's just a preliminary look at it. It's not an official move forward kind of application, but we want to see what they've done as far as open space and usable open space. Some of the new standards that we put in place at the city, we want to make sure that this development meets those new standards before it's allowed to move forward. So that'll be one that I'll be watching closely. A couple other smaller things on that agenda, but we'll talk about all that next week.
All right.
Same place, same time, same channel, and maybe have some horse show talk. I'll let you know how the horse show went.
Yeah, and maybe, who knows, maybe more Uncle Nearest news. Who knows?
Oh, there's no telling. There might be. If there is, we'll cover it.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, we'll cover it if it happens.
We'll see you guys next week.